Hi everyone, this is Sherry, aka Mothership. I hope you're all having a great day, great night, and thanks for coming to my channel. This will be my first video other than my introduction video. And honestly, I'm not really sure if I should call these audios because they're avatars right now. And I guess I'll just call them videos. But anyway, audio, video. And so last night I was trying to think, like, what should I talk about? Like, concerning my girls, me, whatever. And concerning things in life. So anyway, I thought of a subject that actually has to do with both of my daughters. So I thought that would be, a good first video to do. And, yeah, so, and I just pretty much talk. Like, I don't really think much about what I'm going to say or anything. So, I just kind of say what comes to my mind. So when I thought about that last night, I thought, yeah, I'll just, talk about that. So, I don't write things down. I don't, really think about what I'm going to say. So anyway, I'm going to start with my daughter, Shirley, aka Little Belle. And she's my daughter that she's 35 years old, and she was born with Down syndrome, heart defects, and she's the one that got the juvenile rheumatoid arthritis as a baby. So she's been in a wheelchair pretty much her entire life. So anyway, when Shirley was younger, and with a child with Down syndrome, they're usually behind, on their milestones and things like that. And you really have to work hard, really work hard, and do things over and over and over again, and until it clicks into them. Like with Shirley, we had to do things 1,000 times over, and once it clicked in, she could do it. Yeah, so it was like pretty awesome. She's a really, really awesome young lady. She really, truly is. And one of the things with her is she wasn't really communicating, even as she, was like getting close to like 2 years old, and, she wasn't really communicating. So, she had many therapists, she had many specialists, like doctors and specialists and stuff, and also therapists. And I believe it was her speech therapist that said, basically like something new that they're trying was like sign language with children with Down syndrome. And this is back in like like the 1980s. I mean, I guess it technically would have been going like into the early 90s because you know I was 19 when I delivered her, so that would have been like 1989. So yeah, we'll say like the early 90s then, I guess. And anyway, when they first said that to me, I just thought, well, you know, if she could learn sign language, that would be great, because then if she never talks, at least she'll be able to sign. So the speech therapist told me, like, usually when you're doing the sign language and stuff, that the speech will come along with it. So, but I just figured either way, you know, at least she would be able to sign if she couldn't ever speak. So I took 2 American Sign Language courses, and I started doing sign language with her. And basically what I did is I would sign like everything that I was speaking, and then I would like multiple say the main part, like sign it and say it. Like I signed and said everything, but then really stressed on the last part of what I was trying to get across with her. So I would, say and sign that probably like 4 or 5 times in a row. And then I would take her hands, and then, I would sign and just say that part, like over and over again, like 4 or 5 times. And honestly, it didn't take her long to pick up on the sign language. And she really, pretty much started signing, pretty much right away. It was like amazing. I was like so amazed with it. And, and it didn't take real long until she actually just started, putting those signs into words. Like her first word wasn't mom, but her first word was actually more because she wanted more Cheerios on her little tray. And since she couldn't walk, I had her in like a little walker, the kind that had the wheels. And she would like go around, the living room and all that kind of stuff in that. But she ran out of Cheerios on her little tray, and, she started signing and signing more, 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 more. And then all of a sudden she just, said more, And once she got that first word, it was just amazing because then, like, pretty much all the signs that she knew, she started just putting into words because I guess it, like, really clicked in that, you know, these signs are words and she can say them. So that really helped a lot. Um, and she communicates very well, even to today. So I highly recommend if you have a child, especially with Down syndrome, that's having trouble communicating, it wouldn't hurt to try because, like, it really worked well with Shirley. And and she still knows the signs. She's like 35 and we hardly ever use sign language at all. But somehow that really stuck in her memory. So, if you would ask her certain words or whatever, she'll be able to sign them. It'll look a little different because, her fingers and wrists and all that are all bent up, but you know, she's definitely understandable with her speech and with her sign language. So, I guess that it was just really neat, and it was just really great that something that I guess I want to just say something so simple that can just make this unbelievable um outcome to it. Just amazing. My kids just they have just amazed me throughout these last 3 decades. I mean, it's just they're just both incredible. So that's my Shirley, my little Belle. And that's how she really just, learned how to communicate and just, learned how to speak. And now I'm going to go to my little Sarah, aka ET. So if you listen to my introduction video, you'll know that Sarah was born um, profoundly deaf, completely blind, and she had an arachnoid cyst inside of her brain. And her arms, legs, hands, feet, fingers, and toes are all very, very severely deformed. And she was really not even ever supposed to take a breath. Like, once I delivered her, she was not even supposed to breathe. And again, I'm just so proud of her. I mean, here she is, 29 years old. And anyway, with everything she had against her, again, guys, I mean, she's just amazing. She is just like totally amazing. So anyway, um, I knew she was deaf when she was probably about a week and a half old. And then when we found out, like, that she was blind, I'm going to say she was probably about, I don't know, maybe like 2.5 to 3 weeks old. And, when we left the hospital from the eye doctor's appointment, I mean, the eye doctor basically said, like, she will never be able to get around. She'll never be able to, maneuver a wheelchair. She won't be able to see where she's going. She'll never, be able to get around at all. So, we left the hospital. My husband, he was my husband at that time. He's my ex now. But my husband at the time was driving. And, like, all of a sudden, I literally just, like, yelled out. Like, I mean, literally yelled out. I'm like, I just yelled, like, I'm going to teach my daughter how to communicate. like one way or another. I'm going to teach her how to communicate. Like, I'm going to teach her. She's going to learn. And, he jumped because I just like out of nowhere just yelled that out. And I really felt strong about it because, with all the things that she had against her, like somehow, some way, I just really wanted to be able to teach her how to communicate. So basically, I did the same things that I did with my older daughter Shirley. Like, even though Sarah couldn't see me or hear me, like, I treated her as if she could. So the same things I did with Shirley is like, no matter where I went, I would be signing and talking, like saying what I'm doing, signing what I'm doing, and that helped so much with Shirley. I did that with Sarah too. So if I was washing the dishes, she would be right on the counter in her bouncy chair next to me, and I'd be talking to her as I'm washing my dishes, telling her what I'm doing, splashing water on her, telling her it's water, but also signing it. And also, her hands were like very, very curled. So, like, I would uncurl her hands, and then sign water. Her signs are different because she's missing her parts, But her signs were very understandable. Like, once she picked up on the signing, like, so her hands, like, say for mom, like, mom is when you have your thumb at your chin and, like, your fingers are up in the air. And being I would do it over and over again, like 4 or 5 times each time. So when she learned to sign mom, her wrist, she would use the ball of her wrist and she would tap it to her chin because that's how I actually taught it to her. So it's almost like she's saying mom, 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 mom. But, that's the way that I did it with both of my girls. And, yeah, I mean, again, my girls are just so amazing. So she did pick up on the signs. Um, and it was just amazing because she was just so intelligent. And anyway, that's what I decided to do with them, and it really worked out for me. It really worked out just wonderfully. And Sarah doesn't have Down syndrome. She has an unknown syndrome, and but anyway, but I think the sign language just kind of goes to show that, if you do have a child that really can't communicate or is having trouble communicating, sign language wouldn't hurt to try. At least in my opinion, it wouldn't really hurt to try it. It'll either work or it won't. But if it does, at least then your child will be able to start communicating. And, and I'm just so glad that that therapist had suggested that because, if not, I don't know if Shirley ever would have, been able to communicate or to speak. And the same with Sarah. I mean, I don't know if she ever would have been able to communicate or speak. And so just for me, it made all the difference in the world. It really did. So that's what I guess I wanted to talk about today because, and hopefully again, I just really want people to know that they're not alone on this planet. That's like so important to me. Because I know sometimes people can feel whether they have a disabled child or not. There's addiction, there's all kinds of stuff that people go through, and emotionally, physically, spiritually. And I really just want people to know that they're not alone. No one's alone on this planet. And there's a lot of people that really, truly do care. So, anyway, I guess that's what I wanted to cover for now. And just, for whatever reason, that's what I thought about for today's video because, you know, again, it made all the difference in the world. And, if you have a child that's not communicating, again, I really don't see that it would hurt to try it because it could work. And if it does, that's just like totally wonderful. So, all right, guys, I guess that will be it for today. Here's my little ET. Then I'll go back to my little Belle because they're just like so awesome and just so great. And then I'll get back to my avatar where I have my little ET and my little Belle on my necklace. So, Yeah. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope it helps. I hope it helps somebody. And again, if you want to put stuff in the comments, I'll be able to see it and respond to it and stuff because I do know how to do that. Again, I'm not very good with technology, so, you know, I'll do what I can with things. And, if I do get comments and I don't get back to them right away, that just means like I'm like busy or whatever, and I will get to them as soon as possible, you know. So, don't think like I'm ignoring them or anything like that because I wouldn't do that. I really feel like, I hope that, my channel becomes a nice little community with people, the people talking with other people and, interacting and, you know, so, if you guys have any questions or whatever, put them in the comments. If you know, want to just tell me about yourself and tell me, if you're disabled or if you have a disabled child or even if you're going through something else. Sometimes it's just nice to know that, there's people that care because, it really makes a difference. It really does. So, all right, guys, I will hopefully make another video soon. All right, bye.